Hey everybody, welcome back to My Wings of Refuge. I know last week I mentioned that we would make laundry detergent this week. However, there's been a little change of plans. My week took a little twist and it became a little bit crazy, and so I didn't get near the laundry done this week that I usually do. So I really don't need to make laundry detergent today. Because I still have quite a bit. So let's do that next week. And recently we made a rag quilt. So far it's been one of my most popular videos. And so I wondered what you had for ideas of what to do with these leftover squares. I've made quite a few rag quilts. In fact, you can see behind me I'm actually in the process of making another one. But I end up sometime with these squares, and I have a little project we can do today with these. And it's along the lines of a rag quilt, but it's going to be a rag quilted tote bag. So let's get started. So the first thing we're going to do is just do our layout, which will be real easy. It's not going to take near as many of these little squares. Just as a refresher, and I will link our quilt video in the bio information here on this video. And these squares, just as a refresher, are all 7-inch squares. And we're going to use some of this quilt batting here, which is 6-inch squares, because by the time we sew them together, we don't want the quilt batting to stick through. So everything we learned from the rag quilt video will work with our tote bag here today. So let's do our layout, and we'll take this step at a time, and we'll have our tote bag finished in no time. Okay, so here you can see our layout and what we've done. This here we see the 3 and 3. That's going to be like the front. And then here we have 2 extras on the end, and then our 3, and then our 2 extras on the end. These will be our very end pieces. These 3 will be our bottom, and then this will be our other end. And then we're back to the other side, the 3 and the 3. I hope this makes sense. So now that we have our layout, we're just going to put our quilt batting over each one. Okay, so now that we have this down, we're going to do our the inside part of our tote. So here you'll see this will be the inside of our quilt, and you'll see I have more of this color here, but it's going to be the inside of our actual tote bag, and so I don't mind if there's more of that color on the inside. And so now what we're going to do, if you remember our quilt before, we're going to sew a big X in each one of these. So we have all of our little sandwiches sewn. See our big X's. So now we're ready to sew each one of these in a complete row. And now all these strips are sewn, we got to sew each one of these rows together. Just to make sure you know what I'm doing here, I'm pulling the top 2 and the bottom 2 pieces here. So I'm opening up this seam, and I'm doing the same thing on the bottom. 1, 2. That's sometimes the hardest part. And then you have 1, 2. Then I want to hold them, and I want to make sure these 2 seams here line up. So I'm going to hold them together until I can get up here a little piece, and I'm going to push here so I know they're lined up, and then I'm just going to finish sewing this. Then I'm going to make sure where our X's are through here, I'm just going to make sure these 2 X's pieces are lined up on top of each other. And then I'll try to do it this way. And then I always back stitch a few, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 perhaps, and then go back over again. That just holds it together really good. Lift up my needle and, oops, trim this stitch here, the thread rather, in there. And then we open it up to see this is all sewn together real good. And you can see the pattern here. Okay, we're getting really close now. You can see here how we have our design with our little wings out to the side. Because you see this ribbed section sticking up, that means it'll be our outside. So this side will be the inside. It'll be nice and smooth. So now you can kind of imagine these 3 here in the middle are going to be the bottom. This will be one side. This will be our other side. This will be our end piece and our other end piece. And then all we have to do is sew on our straps, maybe a little button here to kind of clasp it a little bit, or a snap of some sort. I'll have to see what I have on hand. We're getting really close here. So now what we're going to do is sew this piece here, and then this piece here, and then same thing on the other end. We're almost done. Okay, we're fixing to sew this end piece here, the side, these 2 slots. And I just want to show you this corner here can be a little bit tricky, but it's not bad. You can sew from either direction. I like to sew from the top here to the difficult corner. But you want to make sure it's pulled nice and tight. Line up your seams here like we have before. Make sure these seams are going to come together, and then we'll pull this nice and tight here in just 1 second. So get it lined up, get our needle in, and we'll go ahead and stitch a little. Do our back stitching and go again. Get about halfway, and I'm going to pull these seams apart like we did before. Oops, my string's out of the way. Make sure these seams kind of line up here, and we're going to go ahead and sew through here. Okay, and this is the one that's kind of the square meeting the bottom, and we want to make sure that this is all straight. And we want to make sure we sew all the way to the tip where it comes together at the bottom, because we don't want to have something small inside of our bag and something fall through. And it can be sometimes a little difficult. Push it through, then we're going to go backward again, and then do that one more time. There we go. And then we're going to raise our needle and cut our strings. There we go. Now only one more side here to sew, and we will be done. Okay, so here's what I've come up with. I save so many scraps of my fabric, and I have this piece. And when I crocheted a Katniss cowl a while back, I have these 2 left over. I believe we can make a casing out of this. Or so I'm thinking. Okay. The good thing is with this fabric, we don't have to worry too much about wrong sides and right sides. So now, just making sure. So we're going to go through and sew this as tight to the edge as possible. Okay, we have our casing sewn here, but now we're going to turn it inside out. So what I often do is put a safety pin in and then push the safety pin through. There we go. Just keep pushing and pulling. Not the best tape. But I think this will work. Let's put one more piece. Okay. There's our pin. All right. Okay. So, I got these measured the length that I wanted them, like this, and I have just pinned them right inside of our, because all this whole top steel is open. So now we've got to go through and just sew around the top. We've got to leave at least a ½ inch space here, because when we do our cutting, that will be our fringe. So we want to make sure when we sew, we will have that pretty side, and then these will be sewn in between the inside and the outside layer. Okay, y'all, we're quickly nearing the end. Look here, we got our straps sewn in. And so you can see inside it's nice and smooth, and then the outside we'll have our fuzzies as we go and clip them. And so that is the next thing, is I'm going to do all the clipping, and I'm going to sew in our little snap right on the inside, which is kind of like sewing on a button. We'll get that in, we'll get it clipped, get it washed, and we're almost done. So here we've clipped these on this side, and now I'm getting ready to start on this side. So I just want to show you how I'm doing this. I'm breaking this loose. Don't want to get too close to the edges. And then I'm just going to, let me get that one, pinch these together like this. And we'll go through and snip, again, not getting too close to the sewed edge. And my scissors could probably use a little sharpening.